For you today. Today we're talking about how to stay on budget during the holidays. Are you guys out there spending your money? Well, you might regret it in January. We have some experts. The number to call is 613-728-1001, 613-728-1001. The lines are open. We have some amazing experts that are going to come and help us and, not spend our money. First, we have Angela Sutcliffe, a business consultant and an SOB, smart old broad. That's not me, guys. She told me to say that, I swear. And she's been in business for 30 years, teaching people teaching people how to get into business for 30 years. And we have Andrew Bradley, award-winning retirement and cash flow planner. How you guys doing?
Good.
We're going to teach people how to get their finances in order?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? At the very beginning, I want to start with your stories. How did you get started? We'll start with Angela. How did you get started? How did you get to be SOB?
Sometimes I like to think it was just sticking around long enough for the O part of the SOB. But, it's really funny because I say you can go through life as two things. You can go through as an example or as a lesson. And apparently my life has been the lesson. So smart old broad really implies I have a lot of experience, most of it not so good, but turning it around. That's how you get to be an SOB. You put your foot in it and then you walk out of it. Nice.
So what's the story behind what you do? How did you get started with what you do? And
it's a great SOB story. I worked on the Hill for a number of years, and finally I got tired of not knowing if I had a job the next day every time we had an election. So I struck out on my own. I sold real estate for a couple of years when the markets were 23% mortgages. Having said that, I was still Rookie of the Year and top percenter in real estate, but that got tiring, so I started a house cleaning business. Just like everyone else starts their business. I knew the mechanics, I knew nothing about what was behind the scenes, and I ran it into some really struggling times, found an advisor, took 2 years to turn my company around, made it really successful. We wound up with 30 employees and just, it was really successful, and I sold it. And when I was trying to decide what I was going to do after that, I thought, everyone runs their business the way I ran mine. But boy, did I learn the lessons over 10, 14 years. So I started advising small businesses on startups. Don't do what I did, do it the right way. And I took a 3-year coaching program. In those days, it was a 3-year coaching. You couldn't do it on the weekend. Wow. So I learned all sorts of modalities about coaching. So for the last 20 years, hard to believe, I've been advising small businesses. Now I'm advising them on the next level up from startup. I'm doing what I call beyond the startup advice. And a lot of that, it's surprising, a lot of that isn't so much strategic planning now as it's getting into the head and the mindset of the owner and finding out what the block is for them going forward.
So I guess even some of the strategies can be applied to individuals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, these owners, they are overspending just like everybody else.
Every business brings its owner to work. Yeah. And that's the mindset stuff that I work with is, well, what did you believe when you suddenly bought out the entire inventory of your supplier and left it sitting on your shelf for 40 months, So they overspend, they impulse buy, they get themselves into financial trouble. But the difference between the business owner and the individual is that they run their businesses bankrupt.
Wow. Great. And it's coming to my mind, 2012 Businesswoman of the Year, 2011 Ottawa Businesswoman of the Year.
Absolutely, and yes, sometime around there.
Okay, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
How did we get started? How did you become the award-winning retirement and cash flow planner?
It happened overnight. No, it was. It started back. I'd say in high school. I took an entrepreneurship class, and one thing that kind of stuck out to me is my teacher at the time, Mr. Rogers. I even remember his name.
The Mr. Rogers?
Not maybe related. He stated he was discussing about money and entrepreneurship, and he said that if you said to the class, he goes, if you took $20 a week from your paycheck and put it set aside, by the time you go to retire, you'd be a millionaire, and you kind of demonstrated compound interest and how that kind of works. So that still sticks with me. It's always been in the back of my mind, and from there, when I was working at CRA, I was working in collections, and yeah, yay, collections. But I'm dealing with average families. Looking at just getting to see their info, trying to collect $1,000, $2,000 in income tax that they owe, and they're saying they can't pay. But looking at their income tax return, seeing that they're making like six figures coming into the house, like how didn't make sense to me. How can you not pay? Like, what is going on? And and dealing with student loans too, calling people, and they had student loans outstanding, but yet they had a $600 a month car payment. So things
were making sense.
Yeah, things kind of click. There's something wrong here that's not making sense. And then so, just with my own kind of poor experience with financial planning and dealing with the financial industry and banks, I just kind of took it into my own hands, and then I realized that there needs to be help out there for people, and that's kind of took off from there. So you coach people on retirement. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the end goal is to get to retirement. So, but it's what can we do now to get you there? Yeah. So that's where the cash flow comes in. Kind of what's coming in, what's going out. What can we do to improve that? To get there. So
now this is a great show for everyone out there. I mean, it's coming. The holidays are coming. People are already into the debt, into the credit card. They want to make everybody happy. So the lines are open, 613-728-1001. Call in with your questions at any time. So why do people get into trouble, guys? Why? What is it? What's going on here?
Lots of things. I mean, just everyday spending is getting kind of out of control. Prices are increasing, incomes aren't increasing. People just kind of overextending themselves, getting into debt, and just not being able to get out of it. It's just a cycle. So
like a rat race.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I love that expression, guilt, the gift that keeps on giving, because I find that we live in a world now where everybody is working so hard they don't have time for each other, and then the guilt sets in. And when the guilt sets in, what they do to alleviate the guilt is they buy. They buy, and it gives a momentary break in that guilt. And then they give gifts that a lot of people just don't want. But it's all they can think of doing to make themselves feel better for whatever's missing in their lives.
Do you guys believe is part of the consumer mindset that we have created? I mean, the consumer feeds into the economy, and we need, from very early on, a diamond is a girl's best friend, for example. It was just a marketing ploy because diamonds aren't really that rare, and it's part of what we do now. Is it part of this consumer mindset, and can we ever get out of it?
I have to be careful here and straddle the fence. I remember saying to my best friend once, "Oh my God, you spend a lot of money." And she said, "And be happy because I'm the person your clients need." And it's true because, I work with a lot of retailers, and the stores are set up to get you to buy, because they know everyone's running on impulse purchases. There's a little small tchotchkes that are just in the right place by the cash or catch your eye as you're going in and out of the door. So we're in an impulse, we're in a gotta have, we're in a money burns a hole in your pocket kind of mentality. And I think too, and you may have run across this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that these days people find to save up for something, I'm never going to get it anyhow. So the money they could have been saving, they're spending out on small little things because they have this set point, like maybe I can spend $100, maybe I can spend $500 and not get that sick feeling in my stomach. Where if I spent $1,000, I'd get the sick feeling. So I'll buy 10 $500 items instead of save up for the bigger item.
Just to add on that, how you're saying, the smaller payments. It's, buying a new car, right? They don't talk about the total price. They talk about monthly, weekly, bi-weekly. Now they're spreading it out to 84 months now.
Oh.
Yeah, so I mean that's exactly what people are focused on. Well, I can spend $150 a week. Not realizing that the total cost of the car at the end is going to be a lot more than what they would have put into.
The consumer mindset says disposable. After 2 years, you don't want the vehicle anyways. So then they have these things. It's called negative equity.
That's right. Yeah.
Where you just take what you owe and they just tack it onto the new car.
Yeah, and the car is not really an asset, because it's always as soon as you drive a lot, you lose 20%. So it's not really something you want to put a lot of money into, right? You're not going to gain from it. So
what do people? What do we do? Because like a lot of people, this is the holiday season, right? And it's getting, they're going to go see their parents. They're going to go see, their brothers and sisters and cousins and nieces they want us to show how good they're doing. So why are we so generous? Are we just that generous, or should we what can we do to get out of trouble?
I think it just comes down to giving within your means, not overspending and kind of taking the commercialism out of the whole gift giving, right? I think we need to kind of separate the value of the gifts to the value of the person, and
so is there a certain budget someone should have? For example, if someone makes X amount of dollars or they have X amount in savings, there's a certain amount that they could allow. We could say this is going to be for December, for example, for the holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you know what your cash flow is each month, you know how much you need to have set aside to cover the living expenses, and then have that extra that you can spend on gifts, and then you can create a list and a budget from that, and just to make sure you're not going over that. So.
And to take that one step further, with my clients, we do a spreadsheet every year. And in that spreadsheet, we put down birthdays, special occasions, Christmas, divide it by 10, because there's usually a couple of bad years, and then put that money aside every month. So that's how we do it, Alfonso.
Nice. You know what? This is going to be a great show. 613-728-1001. Stay on budget. Staying on budget. More after this.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Join world leaders as they share innovative solutions for the pressing issues the world faces. Watch the One Young World Ottawa Summit exclusively on Rogers TV.
What makes the season very merry? Stingray Music and the best channels for every moment, place, mood, and festive occasion. Unwrap your soundtrack for the holidays. From timeless Yuletide classics to today's crowd-pleasing favorites. All available free on TV, web, and mobile. With 2,000 music channels, Stingray Music is the gift that keeps on giving. Download the free Stingray Music mobile app.
Totally busy, and Kim's not going to do it because he's busy too. My name's Ricardo Menendez. I got into policing because I wanted to try something new, something exciting.
Do we still have him on the line to update us of whether or not it's still physical at this time?
Gave it a chance. Guys, hey, listen, get over here. Started my career off with the RCMP out west. It just clicked at the end, and I've been doing this career since 2009.
Hi, I'm Kathy Donovan, host of Refresh Your Passion, a speaker series for people who want to do more, be more, have more, and share themselves more in the world. Refresh Your Passion, only on Rogers TV.
are back, and we're talking about how to stay on budget during the holidays. A lot of you might be very generous, very giving, but come January, I don't know what's going on. These bills start pouring in. Guys, we've been talking about this, how to stay on budget over the holidays. And you guys had some great strategies. I want to talk a little bit about these days we've created. I mean, Black Friday has been going on for a long time in the U.S., but it's been creeping into here. What is going on with all these Black Friday and Boxing Day and Blue Monday, and what are we doing? Why now we're in debt before December?
The marketers are too good. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why do people need to line up at 3 a.m. just to get a television?
I think my father had a really good expression. He used to look at my mother and say, you know, you're going to save us into the poorhouse. Because who can resist a sale? Oh, even though intellectually you know that it may not even be a real sale. Everyone's yelling the magic four-letter word, sale.
Well, they only bring in 3 televisions for people to fight over.
Yeah. And sometimes the stuff is actually, and this has been shown on Black Friday, the stuff is actually marked up just before, so that it's selling at either the regular price or slightly above the regular price. But because everyone thinks they're going to save, spending themselves into the poorhouse, they're lining up at 3 in the morning for this so-called savings that isn't even real.
Wow. And at the same token, when people buy on sale, do they even need the things that they're buying? Or are they only buying it because, they're spending more because they're buying more items that are on sale?
Well, that's it, yeah. I think it's the psychological aspect of it is that they're just trying to get a bargain, right? We won against the retailers, or, we're getting a good deal, so impulse buying, and feels good to get something on sale, right? Feels good to go and tell someone that, hey, I got that on sale, and I got a big discount, and
Now, Black Friday, for example, this is do we even know the origins? Why did they call it Black Friday? I don't know. Must be something.
It was something to do with retailers just getting ready for...
Getting into the black.
Yeah, getting into the black, yeah.
Okay.
For the months leading up, they've all been in the red, and this is when they start to make their money, so...
Well, you guys call in with your questions, 613-728-1001, 613-728-1001. The number's on the screen. A lot of people out there might be struggling there. You know what? I just shopped at Black Friday, and I only bought stuff for myself. I didn't buy any gifts. Now I'm in debt. Should they be waiting till Boxing Day? What's going on? Boxing Day, is that the best time to buy? Is there a good time to buy?
When you need something and really need it. I think the thing about Boxing Day, first of all, it's no longer just Boxing Day like it used to be. Now it's at least a week before. Now, you can get good Boxing Day deals that you've budgeted all year to buy, and you can get them because if it's seasonal, retailers don't want that stock on their shelves for the whole year. So you can get it down to just about wholesale. But again, it's coming back to the list of needs and wants. What do I really need and what do I really want?
Is there a strategy to figure out if we need something or we want something?
Want is such an emotional thing, but for instance, I need socks. If I have holes in my socks, I need socks. Yeah. If I don't have it's something that I can't do without in day-to-day life. So a big screen TV, probably not. If it's an upgrade of something, think about it. Think about whether it's going to do whether the thing you have is going to do what you need it to do for a while. And if it's going to do it for a year, then start, as I mentioned, every month. If you know you want a $500 item, then put $50 in the account every month so that you can buy that $500 item. Cash. Yeah. Don't pull out the credit card. All you're doing is paying 19% more for the item. The number of people that say to me, "Oh, look what I saved! I saved."
But I get points.
And I get points, and I saved. And I look at that and say, "Well, what the heck did you save? You paid 19% interest on it, cumulative through the year, so you had no savings."
Yeah. And then we have this thing now, Blue Monday, where it's now everybody's coming back to the stores with all this stuff. They regret it. They're depressed. Credit card comes in. What did I do? I didn't even like this guy, and So what? Yeah. Why? I mean, we do it all. We do it to ourselves every single year. I mean, this is why we have names for these days.
And that's the thing about getting control of your spending and your money, and so you're not in that situation where you get your bills in January and go, I shouldn't have spent that, or I'm in the hole. Let's return it stuff. It's again, what do you return the stuff that you wanted, not that you needed. So I think starting before the holiday season, so you don't find yourself in that spot is really the key. I think.
Now we were talking earlier. Let's flip the script first for a moment, and let's talk about the real retailers, where they're the businesses, right? And they're struggling too. I mean, they're overspending. They don't know how to budget for Christmas. People's behaviors have changed. Now they're waiting on Amazon until midnight and in their pajamas. And number one, can people get in trouble buying online more than they would walking around the mall, for example? And two, how is a retailer supposed to, are they in trouble? They don't know how to, plan for the new behavior.
It's really challenging for retailers, and just on the returns part, one of the things I tell my clients is just for whatever comes in at Christmas time, expect 20 to 30% returns. So don't bank all that money. Don't pay off all your bills with that money, because some of the stuff's coming back and you're on the hook.
So that is that's a statistic that is known. It's coming back.
It's coming back. Just like, Black Friday is notorious for returns. Mm-hmm. So if you're a retailer, you're quite right, Alfonso. You've got to know what stock to bring in. You've got to have expectations some of that stock is being returned. You've got to bring in extra staff. You've got to stay open extra hours. So for retailers, the costs are enormous. And then people might come in to try things, try before you buy, go home, buy it online.
Wow. Is that a behavior now?
It's absolutely a behavior, and some stores have started charging people to try on clothes, and then it's refunded if they purchase from the store. So it's getting to be a really bad behavior for people.
I remember when I was a kid, my mom would give me my $20, and then I would go to a store, I think it was Radio Shack, if you guys remember.
Yep.
Yep.
And I had my $20 at Boxing Day, and then you go in there and you spend that crisp $20 bill. That is gone. I mean, people don't even see money anymore. People are just used to tapping. Is that behavior getting people to not really understand the value of what they're spending? Are they not seeing what they're spending?
So there's a big elephant in the room about this, and here's how it works. We all have finally clued in that gambling is an addiction.
Yes.
So what do we do with gambling? We take money we don't have and we spend it on things we don't need, and we hope to get a better return.
Yeah.
Gee, does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
Because excessive shopping is actually also an addiction, and it comes from the same roots. It comes from hoping we're going to get more than we put out, and that momentary release of feel good. So when you go into a store and you're not peeling off the bills and you're not watching that stack go down, you have no connection with reality. It's just bing, bing. And before you know it, you're in credit card debt. You've cleaned out your bank account. Again, sound familiar?
But I look great.
Yep.
Yeah.
I bought this great bow tie.
Exactly.
You get that high, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. It's a high.
Yeah.
So what can people do if they're in this cycle? And someone out there is probably they're resonating with this right now, and they're saying, "Wait a minute, maybe that's me," or maybe the people that should be watching the show are in a parking lot at Saint Laurent Mall or Bayshore Mall right now. What can they do?
I think one of the things is start paying things with cash. That way when you are shopping and you do get that kind of you want to buy a certain item, you don't have that money in your pocket, so it gives you time to think about what you're doing as you go to the bank to get that money, and you can think about, really, do I need to buy that? You know, you might have that, excuse me, sorry, kind of like a cool-off period, right?
Yeah.
You can think about it before you purchase it, whereas if you have just...
So how long, I like that idea. Yeah. So you go to the store, and maybe you give yourself some time, maybe a day, go home, think about it. If you really, by tomorrow morning you wake up and you really need it, if it's something that is still on your mind, maybe it's something you should go back and pick up. Is that
I think so, yeah, because it's not, the item's not going to go anywhere, right? So, you know, I mean, I think you can...
But what about, you know, there's somebody coming tomorrow. Should we just put it on layaway, or...
Yeah, again, I mean, it's like she was saying earlier about wants and needs, right? If it's something you need or something you want, you can. If it's something you want, I mean, it's something you don't really neatly need to have. I mean, you can take that risk. I think you're better off to take a moment and take a day and think about it before making an impulse.
Yeah. See, that's something that happens to people in commission sales. They know the money is coming. How many times do you think they spend the money that's coming? Do you think they only spend it once? No, they spend it 2, 3, 4 times over before they get it in their hands. So even if you know the money is coming tomorrow, chances are you've got 10 different plans on how you're going to spend that money, and you're going to spend it 10 different ways, unless, as you say, you're carrying the cash. Because when the envelope is empty...
So, should we have money jars at home?
Yeah.
And how do we separate, what do we put in these money jars?
Well, first of all, I'd start with mortgage or rent, groceries.
So actually see the physical money come out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, you know, and I do this with a lot of my clients, and I say to them, well, when you've eaten through your grocery money, and it's the 15th of the month, what are you going to do? So they get smarter about eating out. They say, oh, I hadn't realized I had to make it last. When you've eaten through your clothing allowance, you can't buy any more clothes.
Hold on a second, Angela. Hold on a second, Angela. Don't say the clothing. Don't tell me I can't buy the clothing.
How did I know?
Guys, we're having a great time here. We're talking about how to stay on budget. And feel free to call in with your questions, and we'll be back with more after this. Hopefully, we're not going to cut that clothing budget. More after this.
It's Carla from Carla in the Kitchen. Join me every week as I give away some of my top secret recipes. These smell so delicious. We'll see you in the kitchen.
Humanitarian crises are impacting more and more people around the world. Fortunately, there are organizations to come to their aid. But sometimes the need is so great that even with the best of intentions, it can't be done alone. That's why in Canada, we've brought leading aid agencies together to form the Humanitarian Coalition. Because together, we can save more lives.
Welcome to Statesman. We've got brains.
Let's get started.
Skills. Skipping rope. It's a lasso.
You're acting weird. Oh my God.
And you are?
I miss our family. Let's fix this.
You seem to be handling everything really well.
My name is Murray Kronick, and I've been volunteering with Rogers TV for about a year. Most important thing about volunteering is being reliable and showing up and doing the best you can and learning every time you're there. The favorite thing about volunteering is the team aspect. I've said before that television production is just like actually being on the field or on the ice. We're as much of a team as the actual sports teams are.
And we're back, and before the break, Angela said I shouldn't buy too many bow ties and nice shirts, and I said, well, I'll try. Maybe can we take from the food budget to put it into the clothing budget?
Well, if you do,
as long as you stay on
smaller
budget.
Clothes.
We're talking about how to stay on budget over the holidays. The number to call is 613-728-1001. The lines are open, and we've been having an amazing show so far. We have Angela Sutcliffe and Andrew Bradley, great experts in this field. We were talking about staying on budget. We talked about, the Black Fridays and the Boxing Days and the Blue Mondays. I want to know a little bit about, I want to take it back to the retailers for a moment, and I want to talk about some of the issues that they're having. Of course, they're trying to, they want you to spend, so they create these sales, but sometimes these margins are so small, and then people, regret it. They watch our show, and all of a sudden they're coming back with all the stuff. So is this a trend that you see happening? Are retailers in trouble, and what can they do?
More and more, because of course you've got to remember that for a lot of the stores, their year end is December 31st. So they, of course they hope to make up their sales by their year end. And then when they come tumbling back towards them through the door in January, it really, they're now pulling out of, maybe they've had to buy money up front or spend money up front for the next season. So they're buying a season ahead, they're returning money for the season behind. And as you say quite rightly, the margins are so small at this stage that they're getting into some real trouble. Combine that with the fact that suppliers, retail owners are human beings too, and suppliers are really good at selling to retailers. So you quite often get people who have bought from a supplier more than they should have. So now they've got, I'm buying out a season ahead, I'm paying back a season back, and I've overstocked and I'm never going to get rid of this stuff.
Wow.
So for retailers, more and more with the advent, we have a marketplace that wants to get everything as cheaply as possible. And when you do that, you just drive people out of business.
We have a caller. Lynn's on the phone. Lynn, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Yes, you have a question.
I do. Angela, you touched a little bit about sort of planning out a bit of a budget or sort of trying to stay on track with your customers. So I'm a little bit, I guess, late coming in on this season to do that. So holiday spending's pretty much done for me this year. But what I want to know, I kind of have two questions. First of all, what does that look like? How do we start to sort of organize a budget, and what is the best way to sort of put that together so that I don't do the same thing next year? And how do I get my family on board with this? My family, it's all about the Christmas, and it's all about the spirit of giving, and maybe that's fine for them, but I just want to know how I could, any suggestions on how I could, say to them, let's try to work on a budget for next year so that I'm not left with this and, feeling a little overwhelmed. Any suggestions?
Lynn, those are tremendous questions, and thank you for dropping in to ask them. I think everybody can grow from this. You're coming in at exactly the right time, because I work my clients on a 10-month year, not a 12-month year, because we always have months where we overdo things or things don't work out the way we thought. So starting in January, sit down with your family and say, okay, we want things, we want to buy things, and we're going to make them for Christmas. So let's put on the table what it is that you'd like to have at this time next year. What do you want for Christmas? And then let's figure out how much that's going to cost us and divide it by 10. And if the numbers don't work, if I can't put that amount of money aside every month over the next 10 months, then we have to drop stuff off our list. But it could be that I can put aside, whether it's $50 or $100 or whatever a month, so that when Christmas comes, just as we've been talking about, you've got the cash in your hand now, not your credit card, and you can go to the store with confidence and say, I want to buy this item, and here is the cash. But it's not just the spirit. I'm afraid the spirit of Christmas has probably been trampled to death. Now it's just gimme, gimme, gimme. So if it's the gimmies, because we buy what we want for ourselves all year round anyhow. So find out what those special items are that will say, I really love you, and thank you so much, Mom. Thank you so much, Dad. Thank you so much to my spouse. I hear and I see and I've received. And the nice thing is, we paid cash for it. Does that help?
Yeah. That does. It's definitely going to be a fun conversation, I'm sure, come January.
Andrew, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing you can do too as a family is to go over your monthly budget. You know, it's a good opportunity for the kids to learn about money, which is something that they don't learn in school, and also to kind of see, okay, well, this is where all the money goes. Maybe, you know, I don't need 20 gifts on my list. You know, let's see what's going on, you know, with the family to see how things are, and to learn that.
I like Angela's idea where on the January everybody gets together and makes a decision. I know friends of ours. They just recently made a decision. They don't want any gifts. Whatever you were going to spend on gifts, put it all in a pile, and then donate it to a cause of some sort. Nice. And they all can make that conscious effort together. So I love that very much. You were saying?
What was I going to say? Another thing too is like my wife does it. She goes on to Pinterest and she finds gifts, you know, to make a gift ideas for personalized gifts. You know, I mean, I think that means a lot more than just going to the store and buying something. Yeah. You know, to get a personal gift.
What about making a gift?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just had an experience. I'm getting together next weekend with, you know, 6 women that are friends of mine, and one of them wanted gifts. Mm-hmm. And I finally sat her down and I said, you know, I am so busy. The most precious commodity that I have is my time. And so I said, what I'm gifting to you is an entire afternoon together. She's still not that happy about it, but that's what she's getting.
We have Fred. He had a question online. He said, he actually, where are the best Boxing Day bargains? Where can we save the most money? He said. This is Fred online.
Well, like I said, seasonal items. Yeah. Not what they carry all year round, but seasonal items, because year end, they've got, you know, 7 days to get the money back for what they just put out for seasonal items that may still be sitting on the shelves. So, you know, Christmas decorations, lights, anything that seriously is going to tie up the retailer's money for the next 12 months if they're not gone by the end of the year.
Now, what if they caught this show too late? What if they're already... You know, they already didn't even want to open their mailbox, right? Because it was just, they know what's coming, right? They were participating in the Black Friday, and they were participating in the pre-Christmas and the Boxing Day, and, you know, now they are in debt, and you know, they are drowning in it actually. So what can people do to, once, you know, we've made, let's be honest, some people are already there. Yeah. What can they do?
You know, the hardest thing to do is to get help. It's you know, the psychological part of being in debt, and, you know, feeling that burden on your shoulders that, you know, you're in financial trouble. But I mean, you need to kind of bite the bullet and get help. Go to like a financial advisor that looks at your whole picture. Go to the there's lots of credit counseling organizations that are free and that can help you get control of it and get it under control, consolidate your debt. And
where you can just jump on Google and...
Yeah, you can just go on Google and...
You're not talking about like a proposal. You're talking about just another...
Right, not bankruptcy or consumer, but it's consumer... no, sorry, I can't remember the name of it, but you can do it without doing a consumer proposal, but they will help you budget and kind of consolidate your debts and into one monthly payment and get it under control. So,
is there any strategy on how to pay back the debt?
Well, there's some really good money coaches around. That seems to be a growing industry of people who will coach you through sort of why are you spending like this, and how to get out of debt, and how to prioritize what your spending should be. So it's even a little step beyond planning. There's a whole other element But I still think you've got two issues going. You've got the issue of, oh my gosh, now I'm in debt and I don't know how I'm going to get out. And you've got the psychological, as you said, issue. And I think, quite honestly, a lot of people need counseling to find out what their need is that's not being fulfilled, that they're trying to fulfill at the cash register.
Well, yeah, as Andrew was saying, someone could consolidate their debt, but it's very possible that they can end up in the same scenario a few years later if they haven't dealt with whatever it is that got them there in the first place.
Absolutely.
And that just comes down to that, being honest with yourself and really, facing that issue and dealing with it. So, is there any way to pay down that debt? For example, we look at a few, all the debt, and then we choose, like, should we be paying minimum payments to all of them, or should we be putting lump sums on the highest debt, on the highest interest, and just put the minimums on the other ones, or just the amount? How do we go about that?
Because this isn't my industry, but one of the things I've suggested to my clients is, you have a couple of ways of going. You can start with the smallest amount of debt and pay it off quickly, and then that gives you a feel-good feeling.
Yeah.
Or you can start with the biggest debt and just bite it and go along and pay it until it's done, and then pay the minimum if you can, pay a little more. And of course, my constituency is a little different from employees because, hey, we own the business. Get off your butt and go out and make more money.
Yeah.
So, if you need an extra $2,000 a month, go sell something. But for the normal person, again, they've got to take that paycheck now and divide it into the debt.
Become an Uber driver.
Become an Uber driver.
Something extra. I mean, it's either make more income or, start cutting down on your expenses. Other options too, if you have multiple credit cards and such, is to find a credit card that's offering 0% interest, consolidating that debt. If you have a mortgage, you get if you have room, you can do a consolidation loan, getting it at the lowest interest rate possible to pay it off quicker. So
nice. Okay, you know what, guys? I'm telling you, we're helping a lot of people. Guys, call in 613-728-1001. We're talking about how to stay on budget over the holidays. It's an important show. More after this.
You know the story. When the RCAF said Mach 2 fighter, 2-place 1,000-mile range, the British said it was impossible. The Yanks tried twice and failed. They said, you're dreaming. We said, fine, we'll build it right here in Toronto. And now you guys, my guys, are saying that it can't be done, that they were right?
Now that's the rocket that we used to get the model up to speed, and then the onboard sensors tell us that...
Come on, baby.
Damn it! But we did it according to your specs. The specs have changed.
We did it.
Arrow 201. You're cleared for takeoff.
We did it!
Although the government canceled the project and destroyed the prototypes, the Avro Arrow remains for Canada a world benchmark in aerospace achievement.
Welcome back, and we're talking about how to get your budget under control during the holidays. And Angela just told me I'm not allowed to buy any more bow ties, and it made me very sad. But we're helping out a lot of people here because we're actually showing real tangible ways that they can get their finances under control. People tend to overspend over the holidays. Then January comes, they become depressed. And I've seen some horror stories of where people have ended up. So you're a business consultant, but not too far away. You're still dealing with human beings. And so I want to talk to both of you on how exactly you deal with your clients, what kind of services do you provide, and how you get them on budget.
The first thing I start every one of my clients with, because they're all terrified of the money, is I put them right into the money. And I think that that's perhaps the crux of the problem, is that people are so afraid of money that they don't understand it, they don't look at it, they don't, I'll say to them, what's the cost of running your business? I don't know. Well, when you take your paycheck out of your business, how much does your paycheck have to be? Because it has to cover your personal expenses. I don't know. So we start with, cable, internet marketing, association memberships, meeting dues, groceries, meals out with clients. And I have 2 spreadsheets of line items that they have to go online to their bank account. I don't let them guesstimate. I make them open up their online bank account and write down exactly what they spent, average over 3 months. And I find that's a real eye-opener for them, because once they see what they have spent, not the budget going forward, but what they're actually doing, it sort of brings them back down to reality. And 100% of the people I've worked with over 20 years has done this exercise and said, I had no idea.
Wow.
And it's totally
like
changed their spending.
I mean, for people to realize where their money is going.
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that their money's going to that they didn't even realize? They're like, I can't believe I'm spending that much on that.
I had somebody come in and she spent $5,000 a month on clubbing.
Wow.
And I said to her,
So actual clubs.
I said to her,
going out at
night. And I said to her, I really don't care as long as... Well, she wasn't going to live much longer, I'll tell you that. I said to her, I don't care as long as we find a way to make that $5,000.
Okay.
But we may have another issue to talk about as a person.
And so from a business perspective, it's like almost, if you want this lifestyle, make the money to fit the lifestyle.
Make the money to fit the lifestyle. Now, obviously, if you're clubbing $5,000 a month, you probably aren't mentally there to make the money, because that's a whole other... And it's amazing the number of people I do actually have addictions conversations with. Because when we look at what they're blowing their money on, quite often a lot of it isn't even that tangible.
And you know what? A lot of... Every business, the model is very simple. Put you on a monthly thing, right? And a lot of us don't really question or call the service provider to say, you know what, this is excessive. Can you reduce it? Is there an opportunity for people actually to make money by just looking through their bills and saying, wait a minute, Rogers Cable, sorry guys, but can you reduce this cable bill? Can you the phone bill, the gym membership, all these things? If we could reduce or find a way to cut on these things, could that be a significant saving?
Absolutely. I had someone last week knock 3 things off, and she said, I had a feeling that I shouldn't be paying for this, and I kept saying to myself, I should cancel this. So what I did was I wrote down the total, and it came to $100 and something. And I said to her, what if I came to you next Christmas and I handed you over $1,000 and said, you can spend this on anything you like because it's yours? And the penny dropped, and before she left my office, she called each company and canceled.
Wow.
Now, shh, don't tell my retailers.
Andrew.
Yes.
What are kind of the things that we should be doing? When you're with your clients.
Yeah, when I'm with my clients, I make them similar to what Angela does, with like a monthly, what their expenses are, what's going in, what's going out, what's left over at the end of the month, and then I kind of look at that and see where we can make some changes, and get them to write down what is it their priorities, what's their short-term goals, what's their long-term goals, so that how.
Now you're a retirement and cash flow planner, so what does that mean exactly?
So that's where the income and expenses monthly come in. That's the monthly cash flow. So that's where I can kind of free up money monthly to put towards retirement planning and saving. So if they're
you find the money.
That's right.
Kind of like how we're talking about, like putting everything on a piece of paper.
That's right.
And do you go through their bank accounts?
No, I trust my client. No, no. I don't go that far, but I mean, I tell them. I tell them as my clients, you have to be as honest as possible for it to really work, right? Because if you're not honest, then it's not, it's pointless. It's not going to work.
So why would someone come and see you? And if I'm sitting at home, why do I need to see you?
At the end of the month, if you're going, where's all my money going? I should have more? I have nothing saving. How am I going to retire if I don't have anything? Where's it going? And you want to make that change or find out.
So we sit down, and is it more like a coaching? Is it more, like a strategy session where it's just like, okay, this is what you have. You just have to cut. You have this much, put this much away.
No, I don't really tell them what to take away. It's more of a strategy session. So like the first step is to get that information and organize it and go to them, like what is it your goals are, what do you want to do, where do you want to be, a year from now, and then I take that information, I try and find a way, reducing debt, paying off their mortgage faster, and freeing up that money to set aside for savings and organization. It's more of an exercise for the person to actually see what it is every month, where is it going,
And what are some of the do you have any like a funny story where people have like, oh my God, where I had no clue?
Yeah, sort of. It's more of when they write down their income and expenses on the month, and it shows that they have leftovers $1,500, and it's always whenever I show them that sheet, they look. If it's a couple, they look at each other and go, "We don't have $15 every month left over. Like, where did that money go?" Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the like most people, you have, where's all that money go at the end of the month?
Yeah.
So.
But too much month at the end of the money?
And I think that could be a cash trap if you don't divide up your cash. Because I've had people that just, they get paid in cash, and so something comes along and they grab a wad of the cash and they go and buy that impulse thing because they haven't got it segmented into where it should go.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about habits, because when you go to a personal trainer, you see a personal trainer maybe 3 times a week. And often, they'll put you on an eating plan, and they'll tell you the exercises. But when someone gets the results, it's often what they do after the fact, right? So, I mean, I'm sure you're not there, with your clients 24/7. They're going to check in on you once or twice a week. How do you guys, how often do you meet your clients?
For me, it usually depends on the client, I mean,
once or twice a week, maybe?
No, maybe once or twice a month, depending.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a check-in, right? So, I mean, you're not going to follow them around. So it really comes down to habits, because what they do after the session is what really is going to give them the results that they're looking for. So they're just checking in with you. You're just kind of keeping them accountable.
Well, I do like a review, like a 60-day or a 60 or 90-day review, where I will meet with them and say, okay, and
this is where you're at. This is where you.
Yeah, exactly. And I help them too, kind of with the actual parts of the plan to get into place, so that I know that they are taking action, they are doing it, and it's. That it is working. So,
but I want to talk a little bit about the habits, because it's the habits that got them there in the first place. If I go on a diet, I'm going to get results, but then I'm going to remember how much I loved cheese and how much I loved, cookies, and those are part of my habits. So how do we change habits?
I think, knowledge is power. And I think one of the reasons that we have those habits is because we don't have an understanding of money. Because You know, I say to my clients, it's funny you brought up personal training, because the one thing I will not compromise on is my gym. I will not compromise on what I spend for training. But the way I get that money is because I compromise on a whole lot of other things in my life. So the understanding for me was, if you want something, and if this is something you really, really want, then how are you going to make the rest of your life fit into being able to afford that? And I think that once you understand it and you see it, you can make better decisions. If we just tell people, do this, do this, do this, they do this, do this, do this, until they don't feel like doing this and this anymore. But if we educate them, and if we show them how to make smarter choices, my feeling, because I work with my clients for a year, 2 years at a time, because we're doing a lot of strategic planning too. What I've watched is sometimes they'll go a little off the track, but then they'll pull themselves up and say, oh, I made a really bad choice. So what if we do this, and then we get back on track? But once you hear it, you can't unhear it.
You can't unknow it. So what are some of the habits that you try to...
Well, I mean, with my clients, I mean, it's a long-term relationship I have with them. So I mean, it's for life. So I'm always there to remind them. And yeah, it's. I mean, that's where I kind of disagree with you with the jars and them putting money every week, groceries, and etc. Because we'll just stop doing that.
I can't remember her name, the lady on the show. I just had this vision of all the jars.
Gail. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, people do that for a couple of months and then they stop, right? And they start borrowing from other jars. Yeah. So that's where I kind of, when I look at their money, I don't really want to take away, okay, you can't have your Starbucks every morning. You know, you can keep doing that, try to find the money in different areas so that their whole lifestyle doesn't change. But, you know, it's still making a difference. So there's not that kind of dread of, oh, I got to keep, you know, I got to stop buying bow ties, or I got to stop, you know.
Thank you, Andrew. You see, Angela? You see, I can find the book.
Oh, yeah, you guys always stick together.
No, but I mean, you know, because if you see the money in jars, like, okay, well, I can't take that money because I want to go out next week. So,
You guys have been amazing. I think we've helped. Can you believe the hour is gone?
That fast.
I think we've helped a lot of people. And for those of you guys out there, I think you got a lot from this show. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
And it's going to materialize here. Chmielewski, shot scores! Shot scores! What a shot!
67's action on Rogers TV.
Good ball! Oh, absolutely brilliant delivery, but I told you, Sergio. Touchdown, FAU!
I'm Paula Roy, and I'd like to invite you to join me in my kitchen each week as I share with you my favorite recipes, hints, and tips.